It's my privilege to speak to you today about one of the most wonderful stories in all the Bible. A story some of us learned as children, but a story with lessons for us all. The story is found in the book of Daniel and in chapter 3. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, orders the construction of an image of gold, an image of himself. All the prominent men of the land gather, the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the councillors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers. And amongst that vast company, maybe numbering hundreds of thousands, there are three believers. Their names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Born in Israel, they have been brought as captives to Babylon. A herald brings the message from the king. When you hear music play, fall down and worship the image. This is no suggestion. This is no recommendation. This is an obligation with a penalty attached. The penalty would be sure. Whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall. The penalty would be sure. The penalty would be swift. Whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour. The penalty would be sure and swift and severe. Whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And so in the story, the challenge these men faced, a challenge between obeying the king who ordered this worship and obeying their God who prohibited such worship, a challenge between going with the crowd and standing alone. Grasp the challenge that they faced. And then as the story proceeds, not just the challenge they faced, but the courage these men showed. They would not bow. Despite the penalty that they had heard, and despite the pressure that they felt, they stuck with their principles. They're brought before the king. He is furious at them, but he offers them another chance. You will hear the music again. If you fall down and worship the image, then all will be well. If not, you will be cast into the fiery furnace. We note the confidence that these men expressed. Our God is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O King. The confidence they expressed and the commitment that they declared. But if not, be it known unto thee, O King, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Do you understand what they're saying? They're saying this: God is able to save us, and we believe that he will. But even if he doesn't, we will not worship the image. If need be, we would rather die than disobey our God. If need be, we would rather die than dishonour him. The commitment they declared. And then the consternation these men provoked. Officers take hold of the men and cast them into the furnace, a furnace so hot that the officers themselves are burnt to death. The officers died as they approached the furnace, so these men should have died as they entered the furnace. But they do not die. Their lives were preserved. The men who would not bow could not burn. Miraculous preservation. But more, in astonishment, the king speaks, Lo, I see 4 men, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Not just the consternation these men provoked, but the Christ these men knew. Centuries earlier, Moses heard the Son of God speak to him from the burning bush. That was a great honour. But these men had a greater honour. The Son of God, the Lord Jesus, centuries before he was born at Bethlehem, joined these men in the furnace. Are you following the account? The challenge they faced, the confidence they expressed, the commitment they declared, the consternation they provoked, the Christ they knew. And the story closes with the confession they heard and the compensation they received. The king who earlier had proudly said, "Who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" now acknowledges that these men are the servants of the Most High God. He issues a decree prohibiting any criticism of the God these men follow. Listen to his explanation. There is no other God that can deliver after this sort. And the compensation they received was this: the very king who had ordered their destruction now orders their promotion. So what are we to take from this story? 4 lessons. Lesson number 1, the wickedness of the world. So much in the world is contrary to God. The world seeks to disobey him. The world seeks to defy him. Lesson number 1, the wickedness of the world. Lesson number 2, the greatness of God. God is the God of miracles. With him, nothing is impossible. With him, everything is possible. Even protection from, even preservation in, even power over the fire. Lesson number 1, the wickedness of the world. Lesson number 2, the greatness of God. Lesson number 3, the compassion of Christ. The Bible tells us that the Lord Jesus is always with his people. He himself said, "Lo, I am with you always." He himself said, "I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee." But in the crises of life, the Lord Jesus comes even closer still. Lesson number 4, the benefit of belief. The God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego is the Most High God, the only true God, a God worthy of our trust, our faith, our confidence, our dependence. Sometimes he chooses to intervene in the lives of his people in a dramatic way. Miracles are performed. He heals. He supplies. He preserves. Sometimes, not always. But even if he does not intervene, he is still worth trusting. Whether we live or whether we die, he is still worth trusting, because the worst thing that can happen to a Christian is in fact the best thing that can happen to a Christian. Death for a Christian simply means heaven and home. You know, the story of these 3 men had such an impact that this heathen king, Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, changed his view of God and later came personally to trust in him. May this story have such an impact on you.